Hello, Papa.
Hey, Prof.
Yes, how are you?
Good, Prof. How are you?
I'm doing good, and you?
I'm all right. How's TZ?
This is it's okay, but very hot now.
Oh, it's very hot there now?
Yep.
Okay.
How is Zambia?
No, Zambia is, it's okay. There's a lot of rains now.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's raining very, very heavily now. So we are wet.
Yeah, even here, some part of Tanzania, it's still raining. You know, Dar es
Okay.
Salaam, it's a unique place.
Yes.
Maybe because we are nearby the sea.
Yeah.
We are waiting, and maybe until the March and April, we can have a rain as well.
The
But
rains.
right now, yeah, we experience hot.
Okay. Yeah, no, the first time I came to TZ, I had like challenges to cope, yeah? It was very hot. The time I came to Dar, the first time I came to Dar was, it was hot, Papa.
Humidity.
You know, like, I always wanted to be under the aircon in the room.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like when you come out of the room, you start sweating.
Yeah, even now, yeah, for example, when you get in somebody office having a
Yes.
AC, and maybe they have a good area, so you can feel much better. And once you get out, you starting feeling again hot. So
recording in progress.
Just
that's the challenge.
Yeah, no, I now when I came for the second time, I had adjusted, so I had gotten used to the weather, and I started feeling nice.
And Papa,
yeah,
there is a small, like I don't know how they call it.
yeah.
I'm just kidding. They're small stuff. It look like a fan. People are used to walk with it down the street.
It looked like what?
Fan. Do you know fan? Fan.
The plant.
Fan. Not a plant. It's like the stuff which producing some winds. So you can feel much better. It's a small one they use. I don't know how they call it.
Oh, I know, Papa. I know. The one that works with batteries.
Yep.
Yeah, and some of them you can charge them. Charge once it's fully charged, you can be walking around with it.
Yep.
Yes.
I'm just
I
kidding.
I have two of those.
You have two of them.
I have two of those, Papa.
Yeah, but are you going through menopause?
Mags. Mags, how do you start a conversation? How do you join a conversation like that?
It's women who are going through menopause who are supposed to be carrying those things. Should we come to Zambia?
Yeah, they are all over Zambia because before the rainy season, it was very hot here.
No, still doesn't make it any good. Men shouldn't be walking around with those things. No.
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding, Papa. I'm just kidding, Papa.
Yeah, no. They are very helpful, Papa. They just cool you down, you know?
Yeah, of course.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, MK.
Hi, Mariam.
I made it just on time. Ingajima, I can share the slides if you'd like.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Hi, all. Thank you for joining. We'll give our participants about 5 more minutes until we get started. Thank you. I just wanted to thank you all again for joining. We have a few people that are just joining a few minutes late, so we'll get started at 8:45 EST, 4:45 Nairobi time. So just in about 6 minutes. Thank you. Hi, all. Once again, thank you so much for joining. I am Miriam Khan. I lead communications for Gradient Health Systems based in New York, and wanted to just thank you all for joining this product-based webinar on the UAMV. We will be recording this session, as always, if you've been to our other webinars as well. It'll be available on our YouTube page, and I will be sending around a link after the presentation. For now, I'll actually turn it over to Dr. Indaba, who will be moderating the session and can take it from there. Thank you, Dr. Indaba.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. Confirm, Mariam?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, I would like to welcome everyone who's managed to join into this very important discussion. I want to recognize, I think, the different people that we have on the call. We have people from Gradient. We have engineers from Gradient and other personnel who are here just to help through this very important discussion. I also want to recognize our lead panelists in the name of Papicho and Sweet Pet, who are going to sort of take us through this discussion. I just want, I think from the beginning, encourage our participants to please feel free. This is not a webinar or a presentation. It's a discussion. So please feel free at any particular point to come in, share your experience, challenges, and also some of the issues that you may be having in relation to the UAMV. So today, we have a very important topic, and we are discussing the UAMV or UAM ventilator. So we've received quite a number of feedback across the Gradient market and users of the UAM regarding, the use of the UAMV. So we decided to bring this conversation so that we can sort of clarify some of the questions and issues that have been raised, and also get to learn from you. So I quickly want to recognize some of our participants. Of note, we have Bryson from Zambia. I think we have Nancy from Zambia. We have maybe also from Zambia. We also have Philip, Adela, Zakaria, and many more as the users of the UAM. Yeah, please, from the onset, the floor is open for any clarification that we may have from any of the members on the call. So today's discussion will be on the universal anesthesia ventilator. This discussion is important because, as you may be aware, we also have an upgraded version, a new version of the ventilator that some of you may already be using, vis-a-vis the older version also that is still in so much use. So we hope that this discussion will clarify some of the differences, as well as some of the challenges that you may be having with use of the two different types of ventilators. And so our discussion will be guided by the following questions. So we should be able to define what mechanical ventilation is. I'm sure as anesthetists or users of the machine, we know the importance of ventilation as well as the ventilator on the machine during anesthesia. So we'll discuss what the benefits of mechanical ventilation during anesthesia are. We'll then delve into the specific or special features that the UAMV has. And then we'll quickly go through the modes of ventilation on the UAMV, as well as listing down the most important technical aspects of the UAMV. This is an area where we even have our technicians on the call. They may help us to clarify any of the issues. So we'll also briefly go through some of the UAMV specific pre-use check and calibrations for both the older version of the UMV as well as the newer version of the UMV. Then we'll outline the initial steps for setting up mechanical ventilation on the UMV, and also some of the parameters that you can use to monitor ventilation during anesthesia. And then we'll end with an open discussion on some of the common challenges and some of the errors or mistakes that we may be encountering in the use of the UAMV. So briefly, I think these are areas where we'll have to discuss. And again, like I said, feel free to actually make a comment, or deliberately we'll be asking some questions and also pointing out specific names so that we can actually just stimulate the conversation. Thank you so much. I'll immediately hand it over to Dr. Papicho, who is going to take us through the initial slides, initial conversation. Thank you so much. Dr. Papicho, if you are ready to go, please, you can take it up.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ndaba. Before we run the board, let me first take this opportunity to wish to everyone a happy new year and a prosperous 2025. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Thank you very much, Mariam. So today's discussion, as it has been explained by Dr. Ndaba, it will be more of an interaction than just a mere talk from my side or from Dr. Sweetbird's side. At any time, please feel free to interact and bring in your experience, your challenges, things that you feel that works better for you and how you feel like you do it better, so that we can all learn and improve our practice or utilization of the machines. Next, please. Because we are talking about the UMV, which is a ventilator on the universal anesthesia machine, we would like first to remind ourselves from a simple question to know what is a mechanical ventilation. Anyone volunteer to pick up this and just throw in one or two words to say what is mechanical ventilation?
And if you'd like to speak, feel free to unmute yourself or type in the chat box as well.
Yes, what do you understand by mechanical ventilation? We have all ventilated patients before, either in ICU or during anesthesia. The same definition applies for both. So what do we understand by mechanical ventilation?
I would say that this is Kenneth. That is life support technique where the breathing is aided by a machine on a patient who cannot breathe well.
Thank you very much, Mr. K. And nice to hear from you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Doc. How are you, sir?
Fine, thank you. That was very correct, Mr. K. And next slide, please. Yeah, as just said by Mr. K, it's simply a process of aiding a movement in and out of the lungs using a machine. If it's ventilation done in ICU or in the anesthesia, the principle is the same, okay? When talking about anesthesia, we have specific ventilation. We know that after we give our muscle relaxation, patient muscles becomes weak, and we know in that time, patient cannot use the muscle because you need the respiratory muscle to be very active for him to accomplish his respiration. In that time, we support our patient. Or when we are doing a long surgery and then the patient might be weak during spontaneous ventilation, we want to support your patient and then give them a good effort or a good breathing support during the surgery. Sometimes when patient has got low Glasgow Coma scale, they cannot protect their airway properly. You come to, you help them, you do a protection of airway, and then you have to sedate maybe and paralyze and then protect their airway. Among the anesthetists, do you think that there could be something else that you can add up here as an indication, or when we use mechanical ventilation? Anesthesia providers on board, what do you think about this word that has been given as a time to use mechanical ventilation in anesthesia? Okay, I believe that no word means everything is fine for now. We can move to the next slide, please. So after we've decided to ventilate your patient, you are conducting a surgery and then you decide to ventilate your patient. Nancy, what do you think could be the advantage or the benefit of mechanical ventilation? Just mention one. Nancy, are we at ASA 1 or ASA 5? Is Nancy with us here? Bryson, are you there? Mr. Bryson.
Yes, Dr. Papito.
Oh, thank
Good
you.
afternoon.
Thank you. We just wanted to hear from you when you decide to ventilate your patient. What benefit do you want to get out of that?
One day
during anesthesia, when you say you want to ventilate, yeah?
Yeah, proper muscle relaxation helps in one, also facilitating the process of surgery. Yeah,
Exactly.
So that, yes, and then also protection and making sure that the patient is properly oxygenated. Okay, I'll speak later in the public transport.
Oh, correct. Yeah, that's fine. Yes, thank you very much. Someone else would like to add up something?
Yes, Dr. Papito.
Yes, please.
Yes, so the benefits of mechanical ventilation and anesthesia, one is also air protection. Of course, once you've protected the airway, you don't expect to have aspiration, prevent all those things. And the other benefit will be also management. Your airway management will be so well, unlike a patient, for example, you're managing in the ICU and the airway is not protected. So also airway management will be of advantage. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nancy and Bryson, for those brilliant answers. Yeah, exactly what you've said covers what we think could be the benefit. Next slide, please. And on top of that, sometimes you also, for a patient who's paralyzed, you have other tasks to achieve during anesthesia. You want to prepare some more drugs, or you want to connect fluid, you want to do one or two other activities within theater there that are related to anesthesia. So we'll be happy to have free hand so that you do other tasks as well, okay? Yeah. So actually, ventilation during anesthesia, or maybe I would say paralysis during anesthesia, has really anesthesia to be very adequate despite the type of patient that you are dealing with. It can be a very critical patient. Instead of you deepening your patient with so much anesthetics, giving them a sort of muscle paralysis, whereby you are very sure that you have your UAMV that you are going to use for ventilation, makes it easier for you to attend to even a very sick patient that you are actually dealing with. Thank you. Next slide, please.
Dr. Papicho.
Sure, Dr. Andaba.
Yes, I just wanted to just quickly share an experience. I think at some point during training, we had some machines that had no ventilators, you know, and as residents, sometimes you are alone in a theater. And then you have a patient who is under GA, well intubated, maybe you're doing a laparotomy, and then you have to keep bugging that patient for as long as the operation lasts. Sometimes you'll have a 6-hour operation, 7-hour operation, and then you don't have a vent, and then you have to keep bugging for 6 hours. You can imagine that sort of experience. And in the context of adequacy of ventilation, you know, it's not possible that you will just be seated in one space and you are just blowing that bag in and out. There will be times maybe you want to just pick up something from somewhere, or you have to draw some additional drugs, meaning that during that time you leave the patient unventilated. And sometimes that could take as long as 3 minutes, 4 minutes, because you really need to get maybe this drug and administer. The patient is moving, you need to prepare and administer additional paralysis. So you can see that experience is very bad because your patient is not breathing anymore and they're accumulating this carbon dioxide, which can be toxic. So I think that experience sort of brings in the whole importance of having a ventilator on the machine, because like Dr. Papicho mentioned, it's easy. You free your hands and you're also able to make sure that the patient is consistently being adequately ventilated. So yeah, I just thought of sharing that additional comment, Dr. Papicho. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Andaba, for that wonderful comment. To add up on the benefits on mechanical ventilation during anesthesia, because we are talking about UAMV, and I believe all our anesthetists on board are using UAMV, either the new model or the previous model, the features are similar. Maybe one of our colleagues of his mind can mention 1 or 2 features that he remembers from the UAMV. Let it be in the design, presentations, mode, or any feature that you think characterize the UAMV. I believe all of us were using the UAMV, and that is the purpose of us being here. By UAMV, we mean the ventilator that you find on the universal anesthesia machine. What are the features that you find on these machines?
Okay, so for some of the features on the type of modes, there is pressure and also volume control. So you are able to set using either volume control or pressure control. And then you're also going to find the minute ventilation and also your tidal volume. It will also show those features.
Oh, that was brilliant. Any other features that you think we can find on the machine? Filippo?
Battery backup.
Oh, the battery backup. That's wonderful. Any other special feature? Talking about the battery backup, what is the backup of the battery?
In a situation of many supply failure, can use this battery on a UAMV for hours.
Oh, that's great. So you see that the UMV has these features. We're going to discuss shortly the features that you found on UMV. Next slide, please. I can see that we are already dealing with professionals in the UMV who have been facing opportunities to utilize all the features in the UMV. Okay. As it
There's
was
a
said,
hand, Dr. Papicho, from Bryson.
Oh, sorry. Maybe I've not seen it. Sorry for that. Yes, Bryson, please go ahead.
I think what they wanted to talk about has already been discussed. Because there's so many features that you find there. The breathing mode, yeah, the ventilation mode, actually, yeah. That's the addition I wanted to make.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. Yes, you are very clear. You are very clear, Mr. Bryson. And thank you very much for that wonderful contribution. Yeah, those are the features that you find there. And so, as Philippe said earlier on about the backup battery, it's very important to know that your battery, when it's fully charged, it can run for 6 full hours when it's working, performing duty, not seated without being in utilization. Or when you are using it during surgery, any other procedure, doing ventilating your patient for a good 6 hours. Usually in our institution, there are very few surgeries that will take you 6 hours. You can start a procedure if it's an emergency that cannot wait. You're very sure that my battery is fully charged. And then that surgery might take maximum maybe 2, 3.5 or 4 hours. So you'll be safe. You can still run your anesthesia using your mechanical ventilation with the UAMV. And another thing that we need to emphasize on is that the type of ventilation or the type of machine or ventilator that we have on the UMV, it's driven electrically driven. It doesn't need pressure like many of other ventilators, which are pressure driven, okay? And we don't have bellows. On the new ventilator, there's no bellow like on the previous ventilator where we had on the sides a blue bellow, which before starting ventilation or before even connecting your patient, you first have to wait for it to prime until when it's stable, and then you can connect your patient. With the new ventilator, there's no bellow. So that helps you in reduction of time if it's something that you need to start there. And then once you switch it off, you do the preliminaries, the FI2 setup and all those things, you go straight, choose your mode, and then you can start ventilation. Have we noticed that on this new ventilator, the oxygen analyzer is actually incorporated into the ventilator? Did you notice that?
Yeah, yes.
Lusolo, you also noticed that? Lusoloja, which hospital are you working from?
I'm working at the Geita Regional Referral Hospital.
Okay.
In Tanzania.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So which ventilator are you using? You're using the new or the previous model?
The new one.
Oh, you're using the new one. Did you use the old model before?
The old one, I used the old one, and
Okay,
the
so
one I'm using right
I'm
now.
sure since you've been exposed to the two type of machine, you are capable of understanding and seeing the discussion, what we're talking about. Yeah, the oxygen analyzer being incorporated inside the new ventilator.
Yes.
And then later on, we're going to discuss how to do the setup for the oxygen analyzer, despite it being incorporated in the new ventilator. You can also have the capnograph. Capnography this time it's becoming like a mandatory thing to have an anesthesia machine or to use during anesthesia. And this it's optional. During the time that you are making your order for the machine, the time that you are making order for the machine, you can specify it, and then our technical and marketing team, they will really make sure that you receive it as you want it. And during ventilation, still work as for the previous, the isolator switch must be on the ventilator side. If you forget, then you will have challenge, you might not get to deliver the actual what you need, and then this will be giving you alarms, high pressure or low pressure, and then you have a noisy a machine during your anesthesia. Next slide, please. When it comes to setup, when you switch on your vents, it used to give you the set option. You can set by weight, or you can use defined settings whereby you go directly in and then you enter the parameters that you've already prepared during your anesthetic plan. You enter them as you want to enter. So it used to give you option for you to enter the parameters based on the mode that you are going to choose. And those parameters, they will be a site where you're going to have on the left, you have your set parameters, and on top of the machine, which you're going to see soon, it will give you parameters that you are reading during your mechanical ventilation. In terms of graphing, it gives you more options, the new ventilator. So it's up to you to choose what you want to see during ventilation. So for you to choose, it's better you go for what you can understand easily and interpret and make a decision based on the findings that you have on the screen. These are a few special features that we want to discuss. Based on these two slides, any comment from our participants or any comment from the panelists or the engineers on board? Okay, if there's no comment, we can go to the next slide where we are going to see another special feature of the UMV. This is another special feature of the UMV, the connection of the gas flow. So if this connection type makes the difference from the previous UMV, whereby we only had one pipe that was passing from the UAM to the ventilator. But at this time, we have two pipes connecting the ventilator to the UAM. So all fresh gas flow passes through the UMV. Even if you are not using the ventilator, even if patient is on spontaneous, all fresh gas flow would pass through the UMV. And this means that on spontaneous ventilation or on mechanical ventilation, these patients, we are going to analyze the tracing and everything on the screen of the UAMV. Even the FiO2 readings is going to be measured still on the same screen of the UMV. So these two tubings that you are seeing behind here, there's one taking fresh gas flow from the from the UAM to the UMV, another returning gas from the UMV to the UM. For instance, if the UMV happen to be faulty and then you take it off, the anesthesia machine will still be functional. In that case, you only have one connection down here. These two ports on the UAM, they are going to be connected one to another one, allowing gas flow running within the machine, passing by the same two ports that are connected from behind the UMV. I hope that was clear for our colleagues. So for instance, your machine is faulty, your UMV has developed a fault. In that case, you're not. And then for that reason, the technician or the biomed in your area said, okay, give me first the machine. I want to go look at it as I'm working on it. And then you have some cases that you like to do. In that situation, you are going to work with a UAM and you can only do spontaneous ventilation. And the connection behind here, you will not have the two tubings again. You only have one pipe connected in behind here for the two ports that you have behind the UAM. And that allows fresh gas flow circulating within the UAM and making you continue running your anesthesia. Okay, before we move on, any other comment from our colleagues? Any comment either from Dr. Sweetbird or from Dr. Ndaba?
Yeah, I think, thank you so much, Dr. Papicho. I think it's all well explained by you, and I only hope that our participants here are getting the clarity and the differences, especially those that have the opportunity to use a new UAMV. Speaking to, I think, our colleagues from Zambia, we recently just installed the newer version of the UAMV. So I hope things are beginning to make sense relating to the older model of the ventilator versus the new one. So maybe just a quick comment. Maybe this either Kenneth or Derek. So how do you bypass? How do you make a bypass, assuming that the vent has a fault and you need to have it serviced or fixed or whatever, and you need to dislocate it from the machine? So how do you establish the connection? Because this is one circuit, going into the machine and coming out into the patient's, common gas outlet. So how do you establish this connection? Is it just connecting the two tubings together, or how do you actually achieve that? I think that's for Derek or Kenneth or whoever is able to make a comment on that for the sake of our listeners.
I'll leave it to Derek.
Thank you, Ken and Daba. So you can disconnect the two tubes and loop them from behind, and then you do manual ventilation. Hope I've answered your questions.
Okay, so it's basically these two limbs, these two tubes that we are seeing, and then you connect them together, and then you do manual ventilation, yeah?
Exactly. So you just disconnect the two tubes, and then you get one tube. You loop it from the two ports that come from the machine, the one coming from the vaporizer and the one going to the breathing block. So you have, it's more like a loop.
Ah, okay. No, thank you so much. I hope that was clear for our users. Thank you so much, Derek, for
Well,
that
Dr.
clarification.
Ndaba, I would like to keep Mr. Derek on the floor just for one more clarification. Maybe one who might think, then how is the fresh gas flow going to circulate if we are just using one loop? Yes,
yeah,
please, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Papicho. So I'm assuming that the vent has a problem and you want to repair the vent. So you don't need the ventilator. So basically, we want to exclude the vent from the system. So that's why we are looping one tube to bypass the ventilator. I don't know if I'm answering your question, Dr. Papicho.
Thank you very much, Mr. Derek. From our participant, is there any comment, further clarification that you would like to know, or everything is clear? Just by saying all is clear, and then that will be fine.
I think all is clear.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, Mr. Derek, before we go, or Mr. Mohammed, or Mr. Ken, there's a question here from Amber Geoffrey, who's from Uganda. Is asking that I have the old UAM. Can the new ventilator be installed on the old machine?
Yes, thank you so much, the doctor from Uganda. I missed your name, but it's okay. So it is very possible to connect the new UAM to the older, to connect the new UMV to the older UAM. But you need some special connectors. So whenever you want to purchase a new vent for the old UMV, what we need from you is the serial number of the UMV of the UAM, so that we can get for you the right retrofits connectors. Yeah, and we do have our engineers all over. So if you're in Uganda, our engineers from GMS can come and do for you the installation. So yes, it is possible to have the new UMV on the old UAM. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Derek. And one more clarification that is required here to put is a question that has come along. If we do looping, meaning we are leaving behind the flow sensor tubings, how safe are we to work without the flow sensor tubings? Maybe that is a question that Filippo was trying to ask here.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Filippo, for that question. So when you are looping this machine, it is when the UMV is faulty. It's not when you are just doing manual ventilation. If you are doing manual ventilation, you can just turn your switch to bellow, and then the gas will all pass to the ventilator and then to the breathing block. But when you are looping, this is only for emergency cases, when the ventilator has gone off and you can't use the vent. It's when you do the looping. But again, during that time, you want to be able to monitor the FiO2, because the FiO2 is measured from from the new UMV. But if you have the older UAM, you can still monitor FiO2 from the oxygen monitor. Yeah, so for the new UAM, you want to be able to monitor the FiO2, but for the older UAM, you can be able to monitor the FiO2. Yeah, and this is not something that you expect to happen every day or to happen for long hours. This is just in case the machine has broken down and you don't have any other FiO2 monitoring device, and which I think that is very impossible to happen in a theater, whereby you don't have another source to monitor the SpO2. You can do it maybe from a patient monitor. Yeah. I hope I've answered your question, Dr.
Thank you, Mr. Derek. That was well explained. Yeah, on a clinical point of view, when that part of the machine is done, you can use your clinical assessment to look about oxygenation of the patient and the ventilation, and then you can also use your pulse oximeter from the patient monitors, as mentioned earlier on. Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. D, and thank you very much for our participants for those brilliant questions. If you still have more questions, even if we've passed the topics, please drop it on the chat box, or you can still raise your hand, and then we'll come back to you and give you an opportunity to speak. For now, we have one question which was answered already earlier on when we asked what are the modes of ventilation, and then some were already mentioned by one of the participants, but I wouldn't mind if somebody else can raise their hand or unmute themselves and then they speak. What are the modes of ventilation on the UMV? If we enjoy ventilating or giving anesthesia of the UMV, what mode do we use? Which one is your preferred mode?
Dr. Kupecho,
Sure.
I enjoy the volume control and the pressure support.
Oh, those are the modes that you enjoy. So which one do you find to be easy to set up when you're doing your ventilation with the UMV?
I think volume control for me is very easy. It's almost like reset.
Okay. For you, the volume is easier. Okay. Anyone else who does a different mode on the UMV? We have Mr. Bryson who enjoy ventilating using the volume control. Who does it in pressure control? What could be the challenges that we face using the pressure control? Maybe we can hold the ball here and then we see how we can discuss. The next slide, please, Miriam. These are the different features that you have in the different mode of ventilation. In the volume control, you set your tidal volume, which is a set of fixed parameter, and then the pressure will be variable. And when the pressure exceeds the limit, you get an alarm to show that there's high pressure in the respiratory tract, and then you can adjust any parameter that is needed here for you to control the pressure. In the pressure control mode, the target here will be setting up the pressure limit, and then your volume, your tidal volume is going to vary with each ventilation. And during that, if the tidal volume is less than what you expected, you are going to readjust your pressure, your target pressure, so that you achieve your tidal volume based on the patient's weight. And then in this case, you have to be readjusting it very slowly by fear of generating a higher tidal volume that can cause more trauma to the patient. So going in slowly, bit by bit, can help you avoid such complication. For spontaneous ventilation, at any point where a patient passes through spontaneous ventilation, when it's time maybe for reversing the patient to extubating them, we pass through spontaneous ventilation. I know we or prefer using the volume control, but at some point you can also have situation where the pressure control is more convenient for you. So those are the features to have in mind when using the pressure control. Maybe here, sure.
Maybe just a word. For me, mostly when I've intubated the patient and I'm using the endotracheal tube, I prefer volume control. But whenever I'm using LMA or IGEL, I usually use the pressure control. It becomes very easy for me to actually do that, and then the pressure is a bit reduced, and I can manage that very well. So when I'm using the IGEL LMA and want to ventilate, usually go to the pressure control mode. Sure.
Thank you very much for sharing your experience. Anyone else can share his experience?
Yes, just also to add on, for me specifically, it will depend. For example, if I'm dealing with a patient with pleural effusion, I would really go for pressure control because I don't want to damage their lung. But if all is well, I'll set the tidal volume and then continue with the case. So usually for pressure, unless I have issues with the chest, that's when I'll use pressure control. But for everything is okay, maybe just the laparotomy, no other issues, I would go for volume control. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Sweetbird, what could be your position here? Which one is your modes that you prefer ventilating with?
Thank you very much, Papicho. I think Nance is very okay. But I would go with the Grayson plans, because so every time I do pressure control most of the time. I'll be honest with you, I do pressure control most of the time, despite the patient. But when I'm with the of course, you can discuss volume pressure. But to me, when I'm around full time, I'll go with the pressure because I know I'm there. Anything happen, I can change. But if I know I'll be sneaking out, I go with the volume because I know with the volume control, it's very easy to someone who can monitor. So my experience goes better with volume control, despite the patient I have.
Okay, thank you very much for that wonderful comment, and thank you to all our participants for sharing their personal experience.
I have another question for Grayson and Nance. Have they used the spontaneous mode at any time of their practice? I wish I could hear from their experience. When do they use the spontaneous? Anyone, the friend from Gator, Nancy, Grayson, Amber. Let me see the names here. Can anyone please tell us, Amber, Grayson, Gimbo, Nyanziru, Nance, anyone with experience? I want to hear from you regarding the use of the last mode. You know, you're using volume, you're using pressure. Any time where you use spontaneous with the UMV when giving you anesthesia. If you're not using it, you can say I'm not using it. I wish I could hear from you. I want to see how helpful it is being on the machine.
Any answer to the question? Yes, Dr. Sweetbird, you're saying something, please.
Maybe you can continue if they're not using it. I know majority of our anesthetists, when they take a patient from the volume control, pressure control, they go straight putting off the vent and continue ventilating without looking at the vent. But it's like ignoring that the vent has got a spontaneous mode, whereby you can still vent, we can still manual bake the patient, or the patient can be on the spontaneous mode, but also the vent can give you parameters, because when you're on the spontaneous mode, the UMV will still give you numbers on how adequate the patient is ventilating. As you can see, they still measure volume, peak pressure, air pressure. It will give you an alarm when the patient has stopped breathing. So I wanted to know if they are utilizing this part of the vent. Otherwise, you can continue.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Sweetbet. And then this is how I'm also going to handle the next part of moderation to Dr. Ndaba to pick it up from here. Dr. Ndaba, thank you very much. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Papicho. I think that was a very well, discussed phase of this webinar. And I think so far I want to applaud all the participants for the participation. So please, let's keep up the spirit. So now we are transitioning into the last phase, and I'll invite Dr. Sweetbet to run us through the last part of this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Ndaba, and actually thank you very much, participant and everyone on board. And actually, I was really enjoying the discussion, to the point I was asking myself if this is how much they know, what would I say? So I would try to, as we said before, this is the round table we are discussing. So please, at any time, stop me, then you can share your experience. So as usual, we'll start with the, I'll start with the poll next, Mariam. So what are the steps? And basically, you can mention anyway, you don't need to arrange them. So, but I want to know, I know you are using the machine and I know you are doing the calibration, but I want to see how you are doing it. Anyone, you can unmute yourself and then give us the experience. What are the steps you do before or during calibration? Amber Godfrey, can you please unmute yourself and maybe say something? I know. During the training, we discussed about the, and we have a checklist for the UAM machine check. So, of course, you can just mention all of them, but specifically, I want you to narrow down to the UMV. What are the things should be done for you to calibrate the UMV? Nancy. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Papa.
Okay, that's fine. Manilizu, Filipo, can someone please? Tumu, Eilwe. Anyone want to try? Okay, maybe they will come up late. So, as I said before, during the training, we always emphasize on the machine check, whereby we check the machine in general, or we check the brakes, the cleanliness, oxygen analyzer, concentrator, power, all of those, but also we do the UMV. So today we discuss more of the UMV part of it. Mariam, next. So Among the other things, the most important thing to make sure it's well connected and it's well attached. It's a flow sense. Yeah, and actually you have to make sure the flow sense is available. And actually, I was also thinking to myself, when we said in the event you don't have the UMV, maybe you have sent it somewhere for repair, and you have the machine. Will you still attach the flow sensor or not? I wish actually I wish Blayson, I don't know what that person who answered this. And not Derek, someone before Derek who discussed about the UMV connection. So I think once you have detached the UMV, maybe we have sent it somewhere for repair. Because if you leave the flow sensor, I think you will create a leak. As we said, most of the time this will happen as emergency, and which most likely won't allow you to continue with the vent. So if the full connection is still available, you can continue. You can still use you can still keep the flow sensor. But in the event where you don't have the vent at all, I think even the flow sensor, you have to remove it. Otherwise, this will create a leak. So as usual, you have to make sure the attachment on the eyepiece is as shown. The processor is always toward the patient, and the clear side is always toward the machine. Next. So as we have said, we have two machines. First one, we have this one, whereby you have all the ventilator drive hose, and then you have the normal flow sensor tubes, the blue one and the clear one. And the hose is always attached on the vent, and also goes down on the breathing block. This is very important because if you don't, if it's not connected, you always create a leakage in the system, and you end up with the issues. For the new UMV, I think we have discussed this several times, but next I will run through it quickly. So for the new UMV, it has two holes, as you can see, the upper and the lower one. And I think we have seen so many pictures, and which we are clearly showing how the connection is. This picture actually is elaborating how the connection is made when you are doing the flow sensor calibration. Since it has two holes for the calibration, we always go to with the upper one, and the flow sensor tubes, they are connected as usual with the blue toward the blue and the clear on the clear side. On the front side, kind of the same steps you are doing, because you go on the patient calibration, patient flow, and then as you have said before, the new EMV, it has oxygen sensor inside. You can also calibrate in oxygen. I'll skip this for now because we'll discuss it at the end of the discussion. So going back to the connection and the flow calibration. Next, Maria. So for the older machine, please, we have this slide to emphasize on the connection. So for the calibration, you have to make sure you have the ready adapter, and then you connect the flow sensor on the ready adapter, and as usual, the blue the clear tube on the vent, and the blue tube toward the patient side. You go to the flow cal, then you calibrate the patient flow, and then you follow prompt. Once that is done, it will tell you to reverse the flow sensor, and then you reverse, and then you reconnect the drive as usual. And we advise this to be done at least once a week. Next. So we'll play the video. I'm sure all of you have seen it before, but since we are advising on the UMV, let us listen, then we can discuss later. Mariam, there's no sound to me. I think if you're using earphone or headphone, try to disconnect them from the machine.
Sure, let me try. Sorry about that.
Airway pressures, and tidal volume. The patient flow sensor requires calibration when being used for the first time, periodically every few weeks, if damage is suspected, after cleaning, and if the set volumes and pressures differ from the measurements displayed on the screen. These are the items you will need. Red calibration connector. Calibration procedure. Disconnect the ventilator drive hose from the ventilator and attach the red plastic adapter to the 17mm bellows driver taper on the rear of the ventilator bellows assembly. Connect the patient flow sensor with the flow in the patient direction. Blue line closest to the patient, clear line closest to the ventilator. To first calibrate in the forward direction. Press the Flow Cal button. Press Calibrate Patient Flow. Press Yes to start calibration of the inspired flow. When prompted, turn the flow sensor around to calibrate the expired flow and press the Continue button. Note: the ventilator will prompt you to put the sensor in the correct orientation if it is connected incorrectly. When complete, press Exit. If the calibration fails, perform the procedure again from the beginning. If it fails again, you must perform a pressure transducer zero offset calibration, followed by the flow sensor calibration. If it fails again, replace the flow sensor with a new one. If a new sensor fails the calibration, please contact Gradian for service. After calibration, reconnect the flow sensor to the patient circuit Y piece and place a clean patient bacteria filter ready for the next case. Reconnect the ventilator drive hose between the bellows 17mm taper and the UAM anesthesia machine ventilator connector.
Thank you. So, may I welcome one of the, this one has dropped. Nance, can you, since all of us we are using the UMV, can someone outline what are the initial steps where you have to follow before you put someone on the vent? Nancy? Philip Pongusa, do you use the UMV?
Yes, Dr. Sitbat. I'm using both the latest and the old division.
So can you please elaborate the steps? How For example, you have given your anesthesia, you have given your induction, you have intubated, and someone is on the vent, you have given your lung muscle, you have paralyzed your patient. Now you have to change from spontaneous to MV. What are the steps? What do you do? Assuming you have already set the weight and the other things.
Yes, the first step, I will change the isolator from spontaneous to ventilator.
Yes, and then?
And then I will command the preset setting from to start a case.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's Filippo. Yes, you are very right. So, decision to vent a patient with a ventilator start when you are preparing for your case. Because we all know that's when you have to remember when you are switching on the machine, you have to pick the weight, you have to switch on, do the calibration of those. But just before you putting in the patient, you have to cross check. You have to make sure the weight is okay, parameters set are okay, but also have to decide which side am I using. Remember, we have just discussed about the either pressure control or volume control. So all of those things has to be done before you put a patient. And actually, I like the steps, and I think this should be emphasized before starting the vent. Make sure the bioreactor switch is on the vent side, because if you do otherwise, the machine will start alarming and then you'll panic. So the step is you come from down, then you go up, and when changing, you change on the vent, and then you change on the bioreactor switch. Next. Okay, so this is our vent. We have the vent. We have the order UMV, and we have the NUMV, and basically a setting and the amount. Hello.
Oh yes, on the previous slide, I think I was booted out, so I didn't get most of the information that you had shared. For my sake, just a bit of a summary on the previous slide, because I was booted out and I've just.
So okay, it was more of an initial step for you to start the UMV.
Yes. Yeah.
That one, yeah.
I think that's important. I'll need that.
Okay, it's fine.
Just to jump in really quickly, this session is being recorded, so we can share it afterwards.
Okay.
So, but yes, so thank you, Maria. But also in summary, of course, that's the side we are discussing. We said there are steps which will be done before. Things like you selecting weight, setting resource parameters, how much the volume, how much is total rate, and all of those. We were emphasizing more on the steps for you to start the UMV. If you start the UMV, when the accelerator bell is on the barrel side, the machine will give some alarms. So that's what we are saying. Always, before starting the UMV, make sure you switch the barrel accelerator switch on the vent side, and then you start your UMV. When you are winning the patient, same thing. Change from the top, then you come down, then you continue begging the patient. Some of you guys, if you have done that, when you started the vent, while the accelerator barrel switch is on the barrel side, you will see the barrel also coming up. And that's why the patient won't be ventilated. That's why we'll see the machine giving alarms. So always change the accelerator bell, and then on the vent side, and then you change you start the UMV. Next. Yes. This is what we are emphasizing. Always you start with the bed isolator switch, make sure it is on that side. And then that's where you can start your machine. But another important thing, which was also important during the previous UMV, when switching the vent on, it was supposed not to be connected to the patient. In the event where you add anything connected on the event on the breathing circuit on the Y connector, either it's a patient or it's a test lung, this machine, this message was coming up. So that's why we were emphasizing more. You have to make sure when you're switching on the machine, the Y connector should be free, so that when the machine is doing those 3 up and down movement, there should be nothing on the Y connector. Next. We have 5 minutes, but we'll manage. Apologies, we have 5 minutes to our time, but I would ask to add some more, like 10 minutes, that we can finish. Next, Maria. Yes, as with all of these are the steps before you put a patient. So when switching on the machine, you have to decide. They say decision to vent a patient start when you are preparing the patient. That's why you can see when you're sitting on the machine, it will ask you what kind of patient you have, or meaning the weight. So if you pick from the weight, the machine will give you the set parameters, the initial ones. But also, if you had saved yours, for example, on the user one, whatever, if you have the pre-saved one which you have saved, when you pick that, the machine will start the machine with the parameter which we have saved. Next. Okay. Grayson, you are back. But Gimbo Doreen. Gimbo, do you use UMV? Gimbo. Nancy Chisenga.
Yes, so some parameters you're able to monitor, like during ventilation, you're able to see the
Okay.
Hello. Yeah. Hello.
Nance.
Yes.
Please continue.
Oh yes. The parameters that are notable mainly. Look at the tidal volume. Also the minute volume, the respiratory rate. Yeah. Those are some of the parameters that you monitor during ventilation. You look at the minute volume, the tidal volume, the respiratory rate that you have set on the patient. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next, Mariam. Yes, you are very okay. You are very right. So on the UAM, there are set parameters which are on this column, but also there are measured ones which are actually on this law. That's why as you have said, minute ventilation, which we all know why is it important, because there's no point. If you are not careful, you might either hyperventilate or hyperventilate a patient while he's on the vent. You also you can monitor the tidal volume, peak pressure, mini pressure, but also the PEEP. So all of this, but not only that. The machine will always show the graphs, depending what we have set, what should be displayed. But the most important thing, which you always, as an anesthetist, you have to make sure you always pay attention. It's alarms. For example, this one, you'll see there's no alarm. So in the event maybe something is wrong, they always the machine always give you alarm telling you what is wrong. And you all know alarm, they are made to protect the patient. So always, apart from your clinical judgment, where we all know that we depend on our experience, we are good on that, but also utilize the machine parameters to make sure that your patient is safe. And that's also I want to encourage you. Even the spontaneous mode, it's you can be used, because when you're on the spontaneous, but the machine it always displays some parameters which can help you, can guide you in managing the patient, so that you should make sure the patient is well protected. But I understand most of us, once we are off from the UMV, we don't look at it anymore. But I will encourage you from after this presentation, please make sure you utilize this important feature of the machine, because it's also made to make sure you control and you understand patient behavior where he is on anesthesia. Next. Perpetual has discussed this. I won't waste much of my time, but when choosing the mode or changing the mode, you have to make sure when you choose, you have to confirm it. So always pick the mode you want, confirm it, and then you will ventilate. So as it's shown here, can be volume control, can be pressure control, but also can be spontaneous. You see this person on spontaneous, you can still see how much the minute ventilation, how much the tidal volume going in, how much whatever. As you can see now, assuming this person is maybe 50 kg, you see now we are almost most parameters there, minute ventilation and tidal volume, they are very down. So the machine can always guide you to see if you have to increase the way you are ventilating or not. So please, on spontaneous ventilation, always remember to utilize the machine too, so that it can guide you, make sure that your patient is adequately ventilated. Next. Changing between the mode, I've said previous. You just number one, you pick the mode you want. The machine will ask you change the mode. You say change the mode, and then you confirm, and then the mode will change. That can be either you are coming from the pressure to spontaneous, or volume to spontaneous, or any other way around. Next. So the machine has got other features which you can set. Now discussing more of the alarms. So based on the user setting, you can set your low and high tidal volume, low and high management volume, so that when the machine is below or higher than the set, it can tell you. But also the machine has got an automatic alarms, apnea, pressure disconnects, higher pressure and low bed pressure. These are all made to make sure the patient is safe. And when there's no alarm, the machine will display here. And when something is wrong, the machine, apart from alarming and coming up with the ready color, the machine will give you the message what is really happening. Next. So the additional setting on this one, I'll emphasize more on the style of the waveforms. So the machine has got like 4 different waveforms can be set. Always depend on your sorry for that. Depend on what you want to be displayed, and with the experience you can set. And these are the other things which can be set. Next. So I know you have discussed it much, but I wish maybe we can share experience. Maybe we can start with Blayson. What are the common challenge you have encountered so that we can discuss? Next, Maria.
Thank you very much for following up on me. I've been using UAMV for quite some time now, maybe 2-3 years. No, 3-4 years or so. I haven't had much of the challenges, I think, with the vent, which I cannot to say this has been a challenge. Maybe I haven't paid particular attention, but it's been a smooth running journey using the product. But otherwise, I think I've had a fair good experience with UAMV.
Thank you
Something
very
that
much.
I can no.
In Tanzania, we say asante sana. Thank you very much, Bryson. Of course, the way you are discussing, I'm sure you are using the machine. Unaongea Kiswahili?
Nilikuwa huko Moshi, KCMC. Asante sana.
Haya, karibu. Next, Maria. Any other challenge we have encountered? Maybe Gimbo, Manirizu, Nancy, Philip. If you have ever encountered something maybe regarding the connection, machine check, calibration, or starting the machine, please share your experience so that we can discuss and make sure we clarify anything. As we have, as Ndaba said in the beginning, the attendance is quite exhaustive because we have biomedical team in the house, we have clinical team, and of course we have you with your experience. So please share your experience with us so that we can discuss and make sure we clarify any doubt or anything you have. I'll open the floor for anyone to comment, discuss, and ask questions. At least if everything is clear, you just say we are okay, because like Grayson says, maybe there's no challenges, like the way Grayson says. Gimbo, Doreen, Gimbo, do you have any suggestion, challenge, comment?
No, I don't.
You don't. Thank you very much. Manyirizo Lusoloja. Any comment, suggestion?
I have no comment, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Nancy Chisenga. Nancy, any comment, suggestion, challenge, so that you can clarify? Okay, Filipo Ngusa.
Okay, thank you for this session. I'm very fine with the product, but maybe my suggestion on the next version, I would like if a synchronized mode could be incorporated in the new UAM. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. That will be taken on board. I can see we have Kennedy Otieno. Thank you for that. That has been okay. So I will give back the floor to Ndaba for any comment, suggestion, Papicho. Then we can proceed to the next step. Once again, thank you very much.
No, thank you very much, Dr. Sweetbet. Personally, I don't have much to add on. The discussion was wonderful and clear with a good participation from our colleagues. Yeah, it was a nice time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Sweetbet, and of course, Dr. Papicho, I think for the thorough run-through of this discussion. And thank you so much to the participants for making this discussion very lively. Yeah, please feel free to get in touch with any one of the trainers or anyone on the call in case you have any challenges wherever you are in using the UAMV and much more so the new UAMV. Please feel free to get in touch with anyone of us for some guidance. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful discussion. And at this point, I would love to invite Mags, or indeed Ngajima, or anyone from Gradient staff to just conclude and close for us. Thank you so much.
Hi, all. This is Miriam. I just wanted to thank you all, and please reach out to customers at gradienthealth.org if you have any concerns. Thank you.